It's certainly not unheard of, though it still comes as a surprise when under-equipped, insurgent-style militaries triumph over the world's most powerful. We saw it in Vietnam and in Cuba, and now some say that's what could be happening between Israel and Gaza. Though vastly outnumbered by fighters and seemingly overwhelmed by air power, Hamas has not been defeated. Here's a look now at why one of the world's most powerful militaries might not win on the ground.
As the Israeli military edges deeper into Gaza, it's meeting stiff resistance. Despite Israel's devastating bombing campaign and the horrific civilian death toll, there appears to be little evidence it's getting any closer to a decisive military victory. The longer the Israeli military wages war in Gaza, the greater the risk to its own troops. Over 120 Israeli soldiers have been killed since the ground offensive started on the 27th of October, among them senior officers. Last week, 3 Israeli hostages were mistakenly killed by their own forces. Reports indicate that despite the hostages waving a white cloth, the universal sign for surrender, they were still shot. The Israeli Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, took responsibility for the deaths and his troops' failures. The incident triggered mass demonstrations in Tel Aviv, led by the families of the hostages. Their message is clear: stop the fighting and start negotiating. Analysts say the Israeli military's dependency on technology created an illusion of infallibility, but conditions on the ground are harder in reality. Israel's current strategy of bombing civilian areas is straining relations with its allies. Following the surprise attacks by Hamas members on multiple targets in Israel on October 7th, Western leaders condemned the group and rallied behind Israel, but the tide may be slowly turning. Key allies have balked at the mounting civilian death toll and Israel's unwillingness to take precautions. U.S. President Joe Biden recently warned Israel that its indiscriminate bombings is costing it international support. It's a sentiment that's growing among European leaders too. In a recent UN General Assembly vote, 17 of the EU's 27 members backed a resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. But for now, Israel appears to be ignoring growing calls for restraint. Instead, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has doubled down, vowing to not only destroy Hamas, but to occupy Gaza once the fighting has stopped.
So is Israel's military really prepared? And is it failing now in its so-called strategic military goals? Well, joining me now to debate that, our